I took over the Catholic Diocese of Maiduguri in 2009. That was when the Boko Haram Crisis began. That Boko Haram can destroy their property, they can destroy their churches, they can destroy their business centers, but there's one thing that Boko Haram will not get, and that is their faith. Well, no matter the magnitude of the challenges, they should remain focused. They should look at Jesus Christ on the cross.
Shalom, and welcome to another episode of Heart Talk here on Shalom World. My name is Father Marius O'Reilly. I'm a priest in Cork in Ireland, and I'm delighted to have the company of Bishop Oliver Dashe, who's come all the way from the diocese of Maiduguri in the northern part of Nigeria. Bishop Oliver, we thank you for joining us on the show and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Father Marius.
Bishop, can you tell us maybe just a little bit about your own maybe spiritual journey, even the journey towards priesthood? It would be very interesting to hear.
Okay. I grew up in a polygamous family in Nigeria. My father had 2 wives because by then the missionaries had not brought the message of the kingdom. And when I grew up, my father died. I was very little when he died. Then my auntie took me to her house. She was not going to church. So I was staying there. But eventually, my uncle, who trained me from the primary school to even my seminary, took me and brought me to the house of my uncle. When I was staying there, then I went to school. Then I was baptized. After 3 years in the primary school, I was baptized by the Irish missionaries, the SMA fathers. They came to our place and they were celebrating masses. And so the school, most of the schools were mission schools. Most of the schools in those days. That was before the government took over the mission schools in most parts of Nigeria. Now, so after being baptized, of course, I finished the primary school, and I found myself in a teacher's college. And again, the Irish fathers and the Irish sisters were there. My principal, first principal, Father Kota, was there, and a very, very wonderful principal. He brought me up. I finished my own teacher's college. Then I went to a higher institution in our place. We call it College of Education. And while I was there, the call started coming. The call to the priesthood. In our own place, it is a thing of joy for a young man to get married and have children. So, I am the only male child of my father. You know what that means in African setting. The only male child. And so my auntie, the one that I grew up with, was piling pressure on me that I should get married. Even though the call had not come yet, but I was not ready to marry. My uncle who trained me was in America. He was on studies, being a government worker. So I wrote him, and he wrote back to my people and said they should allow me. Let me finish my school. Let me begin to do something for myself first before I choose to have a wife. So they let me. Now, while I was in this higher college, or the College of Education, the call came. It took me 7 years for the preparation before I entered the seminary. 7 solid years. And within that period, I finished this College of Education. I went for what we call the compulsory service to a nation. I don't know what you call it here. Ours will call it national service. You go for that 1 year, then before, when you finish, you can either further your education or you have a job to do. So I did that. And while I was on that service, that was when the call started coming, that I should wait until after 7 years. Then the Lord would decide for me whether I would marry or I would go to the seminary. So I continued like that. And after the 7th year, when I was still working. I got a teaching appointment and I was teaching. And when the call came, I resigned, left my work, went to the seminary, and then it took me 9 good years. And then after the training, then I was ordained.
And Bishop, you as Bishop now, could you tell maybe our viewers a little bit how your relationship with the Lord sustains you on a daily basis?
Yeah, even before I became a bishop, of course, in the seminary, it's not as if it was too easy. It was not easy. There were challenges. There were difficulties. There were trials. And there were problems. And one of the things that the Lord assured me very, very clearly was the fact that He would be with me. When I was resigning from work, I said, now I have not gathered a lot of money. And since in the seminary, you rely on the support of the people. So what will happen to me since I'm not going away with a lot of money? And the voice came very clearly, you will never lack. And Brother Marius, I will tell you that since that time I set my foot in the seminary of the days I'm sitting before you, I have not lacked. I've not lacked. All of you here are my riches. You here, you are my riches. And that's what it is as far as my call is concerned. Even materially or spiritually, I do not lack. Now, so the Lord has been with me, and especially through significant figures in my own life. This my uncle, I told you, he has died already, but I became a bishop before he died. And he said, yes, he was ready to go. Like Simeon, Prophet Simeon. He sang his non-Demetis, that he was ready to go since I become a priest, and then after that I become a bishop, and he has witnessed all this. That was enough for him. So he died after my ordination as a bishop. Now, he played a very significant role in my vocation to the priesthood and then even to becoming a bishop. He was always there beside me, encouraging and strengthening me. Then I have my teachers. In this Father Kota also played a very significant role in my own life. He was a disciplinarian, and he never spared us, and because of that, he prepared us for this very particular task that I am engaged in, that is as a bishop. Then the lecturers in the Medio Seminary. I also had Father Mason from Ireland, an Augustinian missionary in Nigeria. He was a professor of philosophy, but very close to the students. I had the Augustinian sisters in the seminary, teaching in the lecturing in the seminary. They were also there for me. And so those ones strengthened me in the journey, in my journey to the priesthood, and eventually when I became a bishop. So through these people, the Lord kept on encouraging me. Despite the difficulties and the challenges that I encountered, I forged ahead, and eventually I did not only become a priest, but then now a bishop.
So, Your Excellency, you became a bishop in 2009.
Yeah.
And I've heard you speak before, and I bet you never imagined what would have happened, the great persecution that ensued, and the Boko Haram Islamic terrorists began to take a stronghold in your diocese.
That's right.
And I've heard you speak before, such terrible things, like 100,000 plus people had to leave their homes. Thousands fled into Cameroon.
That's right.
Churches burned, people killed. Terrible, terrible situation. How did you cope with this situation? Where did you find your strength?
Definitely, as you've said, I took over the diocese, the Catholic Diocese of Maiduguri in 2009. And I was the fourth bishop to occupy that position in the diocese. And as you also said, that was when the Boko Haram Crisis began. And what is Boko Haram? It's a terrorist group, Islamic terrorist group that says Western education is evil. And what does that mean? It means that anything that has a link with with an education is also evil, including Christianity. And since it's a terrorist group, you know what it means. They were very violent. First of all, they fought the security agents, and then, of course, they started targeting Christians, their shops, their houses, their places of worship, their business centers, and so on and so forth. And since that 2009, they started even killing some of the Christians. The climax of the terrorist crisis or the Boko Haram crisis was in 2014. That was when the sect members overran the military agents. All other security agents, they were overrun by the Boko Haram members. And so they took over almost the entire areas covered by our own diocese. So people had to run away from their houses. And that was when over 100,000 Catholics that ran away from their houses, their ancestral homes. Then we have over 25 priests that had to flee from their places of duty. Over 45 religious nuns that also had to flee from the convents and the places where they were serving the Lord and the people of God. We have what we call the volunteers, those who support the priests, especially in the outstations. And this in our place are called catechists. We have over 200 of them that had to flee with their families, with their wives and children, so they had to flee from there. In addition to that, from that time to now that I'm speaking to you, that's from that 2009 to now, over 1,000 Catholics have been killed. I'm not including other Christians, but Catholics alone, over 1,000. 279 Chibok girls that you heard about that were taken away by Boko Haram members. That school is located in my own diocese. And up to now, close to 100 of them have not come back to their families. And you also have a situation where structures were destroyed. Our minor seminary was attacked. We thank God that they didn't kill any seminarian, because by the time the Boko Haram members entered the compound of the school, the students had already been evacuated. So they couldn't get any student, and so their lives were spared. And we attribute that to our Mother Mary, who protected our own children. Our catechetical training center, where we train these catechists, was also attacked. And indeed, structures destroyed. But no life was also lost there. Because before the Boko Haram members entered there, the students had already run into the bush. Now, we have over 200 church structures that have been destroyed by the Boko Haram members. And this include, priest residence, outstation churches, main center churches, schools, apart from the minor seminary and the catechetical training center, mission schools that were being manned by priests and female religious. These ones have been destroyed or vandalized by the Boko Haram members. Now, in that 2014, I said over 100,000 Catholics were displaced. And of course, some ran to the Cameroons. Thousands of them ran to the Cameroons. And up to now, we still have some of our people who are in the Cameroons that have not come back, but majority have come back because peace has started returning to our own environment. In that very particular year too, we have the situation in which even some of our young men were captured by Boko Haram and forced to become the soldiers of Boko Haram. They were forced to do so. But then, the good news is that the faith of our people is unshakable. St. John Chrysostom says that if you are pushing a snake, the snake will run. And when it is entering the hole, it begins with the head and not the tail. And so it means that the snake is ready to surrender any part of its body, except one part, and that part is the head. Once you smash the head of a snake, the snake is gone. And our people are saying that Boko Haram can destroy their property, they can destroy their churches, they can destroy their business centers, but there's one thing that Boko Haram will not get, and that is their faith. That the Boko Haram will not have control over their fate. That is the good news. Before I came to Maiduguri, because I'm not from Maiduguri diocese, before I came there and took over the diocese as the fourth bishop, of course there were various Marian Devotions that were going on, but we increased them during my own time. During my own time, we increased the devotions to our Blessed Virgin Mary. One of such is the Rosary Procession, which has its history. The Rosary Procession has saved nations. As I talked to the people in NOC, I talked of Brazil, I talked of Philippines, I talked of Austria. Of course, the Battle of the Lepanto in 1571 is also there. In these places, the Rosary Procession saved the church and saved the people of God. When I came, I told the people that we should begin this Rosary Procession. And so at the family level, the parish level, and then the diocesan level, we've been doing that. And that has been on even up to now. In my house, in the bishop's house, whether I'm at home or not, every evening we have the Rosary Procession. Another one is the consecration of our diocese to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And I told you a moment ago that our minor seminarians were saved. Why? That is by our mother. Why? Because we had the consecration of the diocese to the Immaculate Heart of Mary in the minor seminary. So we consecrated our diocese to the Immaculate Heart of Mary about 13 years ago. And since then, every year, we reconsecrate the diocese to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So that has been going on, up to now. We also looked for the Marian Shrine to name it our Mother of Perpetual Help Marian Shrine. We got it. I prayed to our Mother Mary and she provided it. Our own is a solidly Muslim area. So it's very difficult to get land for the church. And yet that land was acquired and it's very sizable. So we had the reconsecration. After consecration, now is the renewal of that consecration. And we call it reconsecration of the diocese to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The first time we had that was in the Marian Shrine, where we call Our Lady of Perpetual Help Marian Shrine. Apart from that, we also celebrate the Feast of Assumption at the diocesan level, the Feast of Assumption. In some places, it's left for the women to celebrate, but our own, we said, no, we should own it and celebrate it well. And that is what we do every 15 August. When I was praying that 2014, at the climax of the attacks, one evening in the month of October, I went into my chapel in the evening to pray. And I was praying the rosary. Then suddenly, Jesus appeared on the right-hand side of the altar, as in a vision, not physical. And when I raised up my head and saw him, then I said, Lord, what is this? He didn't say anything to me. He kept moving towards me. He was holding a very long sword in his own hand. And when he came close, 2 hands. So when he came close to me, he gave the sword to me. I dropped the rosary I was holding, received the sword in my 2 hands, and then it turned into a rosary. Then Jesus said, Boko Haram is gone, Boko Haram is gone, Boko Haram is gone 3 times. And then he disappeared. I was definitely thoroughly shaken by that because it was a very profound experience, which I've never had before. But then later on, I come down and I said, when the message is clear, we should intensify the prayer of the Rosary and other Marian devotions. And then we'll see the intervention of our Mother Mary in the life of the church in our diocese. And I'm telling you that since then, that's what has been happening. That vision is not about me, it's about Jesus and his own mother. And it is for the glory of Jesus and for the honor of our Mother Mary. It's not about me because I'm just a poor sinner. And I must tell you, our Mother Mary is doing a lot for us in our diocese. Miracles and miracles are already happening. Miracles.
The amazing thing, Bishop Oliver, you're witnessing the power of this in action. People are returning to your diocese. The northern part of Nigeria is the most dangerous place in the world to be a Christian, and yet people are returning from Cameroon and different places to your diocese. So you can see how this is working. And What advice would you give to, there are other places around the world, of course, where Christians are persecuted. They say, was it Pope Francis said that we had more martyrs in the 20th century than in all the previous 19 centuries.
That's true.
So this is a problem in many other places around the world.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to persecuted Christians in other places?
Yeah, that's right. It is not easy to, to experience persecution, but we must also remember the words of Jesus Christ, that if they do it to me, they will also do it to you. But Jesus has also said that, do not worry. The world will make you suffer. That is in John's Gospel chapter 16, verse 33. The world will make you suffer, but do not worry, for I have conquered the world. And then he also says in Matthew's Gospel chapter 28, verse 20, that I will be with you till the end of time. And I recall the words of Gamaliel in the Acts of the Apostles, that be very careful. When he was warning the Sanhedrin, be very careful of what you want to do. These men, if what they are preaching, if what they are doing, if this their own work is from God, He will never stop them. And let me tell you that these Christians in other parts of the world who are persecuted should remain steadfast, strong, and determined. They should continue to have faith and trust in Jesus Christ. And of course, our Mother Mary, for those who honor her. Because Jesus will never leave His church untended. He's always with us. More so, even if it means dying for Jesus Christ. What a glorious departure. So I encourage all Christians who are facing persecutions to remain steadfast. Let them continue to trust in the Lord. And for those of them who are devoted to our Mother Mary, should hold on to our Mother Mary. Victory is always ours. No evil will triumph over good. It has never happened, and it will never happen. Good will always triumph over evil. And let us forgive those ones who persecute us, because that is our tool. That is our strength. When you forgive, you become stronger. It is only cowards that do not forgive. Those who forgive are those who are brave and courageous. So let us forgive, and then victory will continue to come our way, just as we are already experiencing in our own diocese.
Bishop Oliver, would you have any advice to maybe some of our viewers are maybe struggling in their own faith and their own faith journey? And would you have any advice to people who are struggling at this time?
Yes, I encourage all viewers, especially those ones who are struggling with their own faith, not only through persecution, but other personal challenges and other challenges in general, to also remain strong. They should not give up. There should be no room for despondency or despair. They should remain focused. The important thing is prayer. Prayer is our greatest weapon. And the victory is won on bended knees, as one of the saints would say. Yes. When we pray, continuously, we experience the power of God in our lives. So I encourage those people never to back out, never to give up. No matter the magnitude of the challenges, they should remain focused. They should look at Jesus Christ on the cross. Jesus won it on the cross. So they should always look at Him. And from there, they will get inspiration, strength, and encouragement to forge ahead. And eventually, victory will be for all of us as believers in this world.
Bishop Oliver, thank you so much for your time. And that was very, very inspiring. And it has challenged me in my own personal faith. And your devotion to the Blessed Mother is so beautiful. And you can see the strength that she is giving you and the graces.
Okay.
So we thank you so much for not only being here, but for your witness and the passion you have for our faith and the encouragement that you give to us. May God always keep you and bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Marius, and God bless you.
And so, viewers, we thank you for watching Heart Talk, another episode, and we're very grateful to Bishop Oliver again for joining us. And I hope you found this encouraging and strengthening, as I myself have. God bless.
Are you searching for answers? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.